of September. Next up, more than 80 people reportedly killed. Now, human rights groups, meanwhile, are estimating that more than 80 fatalities, a number expected to rise as investigations continue here. Now, the bigger picture, viewers, the White House says it will cooperate with any congressional review, while Venezuelan officials, on the other hand, warned today's actions could trigger broader regional instability tomorrow. But for now, Washington faces growing questions about its rule of engagement, and more importantly, the world is watching to see how far this confrontation may eventually go. Meanwhile, over in Venezuela, President Maduro on Monday defiantly dismissed increasing pressure from Washington and from Donald Trump, in fact, telling the people of his country he would remain steadfast and swearing absolute loyalty. Listen in.
Queremos paz, pero paz con soberanía, paz con igualdad, paz con libertad. No queremos la paz de los esclavos, ni queremos la paz de las colonias. Colonia, nunca. Esclavos, jamás. Libertad, república, paz con dignidad. Esa es la paz.
Stay with the US, viewers, where the Trump administration is freezing all asylum decisions and re-examining green cards from what it calls countries of concern. Not only this, it is also suspending every immigration request tied to Afghan nationals. The State Department has also halted all visas for Afghan passport holders, effectively shutting down the last remaining path for Afghans who had also aided the US forces. This is before the hushed 2021 exit, of course. Now, this move comes as the White House itself defends that the changes are necessary for national security, while advocates keep on warning of collective punishment and strained resources. Now, a separate review will now scrutinize nearly 200,000 refugees who entered under the Biden administration, marking one of the most extensive immigration crackdown in Washington in years. Meanwhile, here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt for you.
We have paused all asylum adjudications, and then of course the special immigrant visas, which we know many Afghans utilize to come into the country under the Biden administration, have also now been paused. And I would just point out one more time that the Biden administration was responsible for the original sin that led to this tragic killing last week, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was responsible for Operation Allies Welcome, which is something that this White House and the people behind this podium in the last administration fully and wholeheartedly embraced. And they assured the American people there would be no risk or no harm to them. And as I just laid out for you in those many examples, that unfortunately and tragically has not turned out to be the truth. Just ask the families of these two brave National Guardsmen, one who is no longer with us and one who continues to fight for his life. So I know the president is wholeheartedly focused on this effort.
Russia now claims its forces have captured the key eastern city of Pokrovsk, a major road and rail hub, along with Vovchansk in the northeast. Now, the Kremlin, viewers, says commanders briefed President Vladimir Putin after Russian troops raised their flag in Pokrovsk's central square. Nonetheless, now, if confirmed, the losses would mark a major setback for Kyiv. Pokrovsk's fall could very well disrupt Ukrainian supply lines and leave nearby forces at risk of encirclement. Meanwhile, Vovchansk, already devastated after months of fighting, is also now being claimed by Moscow. Analysts, meanwhile, say Russia's advances last month were the largest since late 2024 or last year, tightening pressure on Ukraine as it seeks US backing in the ongoing negotiations to end the dragging war. The Prime Minister's office said on Monday that US President Donald Trump has invited Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House in the near future. The statement comes after Trump said Israel should maintain a true dialogue with Syria. A visit to the White House would mark the Israeli Prime Minister's fifth visit since Trump returned to office on the 20th of January. Viewers, the two leaders publicly projected a close relationship. However, US and Israeli sources have said Trump has expressed frustration with Netanyahu at multiple occasions. A peaceful rally turned violent in Sofia as tens of thousands of Bulgarians took to the streets. Why did they do so? Well, to protest the government's draft budget for 2026. The demonstration, which was dominated by young people, as you see there on your screens right now, began peacefully in its early hours. Jumping and chanting resignation, the demonstrators demanded the government to revise the draft or to step down entirely. This came as tensions escalated after small groups of protesters moved to the headquarters of the main ruling parties. There, they started throwing chairs both at the buildings and at the police officers. Over in Pakistan, Imran Khan's family is raising its most serious alarm yet. More than 3 weeks have passed with no confirmed proof of life, and his sons say the silence around the former Prime Minister feels intentional. Meanwhile, court-ordered visits remain blocked. His personal doctor has been kept away for a year together, and the only image of Khan is a months-old grainy courtroom photo. Qasim and Suleiman Khan, who have stayed out of politics for years now, say not knowing whether their father is safe, injured, or even alive, and that amounts to psychological torture. Not only this, viewers, they fear authorities may very well be hiding something irreversible. Meanwhile, the Interior Ministry has not commented, with jail officials insisting Khan is still fine. Now, their concern comes as Rawalpindi's anti-terror court dismissed a petition. European leaders rallied to show support for Ukrainian President Zelensky on Monday. Now, this comes after Ukrainian talks to revise peace proposal, while the US envoy headed to Moscow to brief the Kremlin. Zelensky was warmly received by French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris. Now, the two joined a call with European leaders, including those of Britain, Germany, Italy, Poland, and the European Union. Zelensky said Kyiv's priorities in peace talks were to maintain sovereignty and ensure strong security guarantees. Luigi Mangione watched stoically in court Monday as prosecutors played surveillance videos showing the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last year. Now, this was followed by Mangione's arrest 5 days later at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, viewers. Now, the videos, including footage from the restaurant previously unseen by the press, has kicked off a hearing on Mangione's fight to bar evidence from his state murder trial. Now, this before he was flown to New York City to face murder charges. Mangione was held under constant watch in a special housing unit at a state prison. We get you more.
Mangione and his lawyers are fighting to keep out of the trial a gun that authorities say they found in a backpack that was with Mangione when he was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania, 5 days after the shooting, and also a notebook and other items that authorities say they found in that backpack. Now, prosecutors say that the notebook contained writings about the healthcare industry and where Mangione expressed a desire to whack a CEO.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Monday defended his government's emphasis on foreign policy and its engagement with China in his annual Guide Hill speech. Speaking in London, he called China a defining force in technology, in trade and global governance, while also warning it also posed real national security threats to the United Kingdom. He also used the speech to criticize how Brexit, in fact, had been presented to voters initially. Starmer said that while he respected the democratic expression, it was sold and delivered wrong. To get you more.
The idea that leaving the EU was the answer to all our cares and concerns has clearly been proved wrong. But that same spurious argument is now being made about the European Convention on Human Rights, with the same wild promises being made to the country by the same people. Walk away and all our problems will be solved. To consider Brexit a template for our future foreign policy is utterly reckless.
According to an official at the National Association of Immigration Judges, the Trump administration fired 8 more immigration judges in New York City earlier on Monday. The assistant chief immigration judge at the 26th Federal Plaza, Amina A. Khan, is among the 8 judges who have been, in fact, fired by Trump. Now, the job cuts follow an earlier round of firings at New York immigration courts, as I was mentioning earlier, viewers. They're a part of broader disruption across the US, which is taking place as President Trump moves to accelerate deportations. China sent another letter to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Monday. Now, this letter firmly refutes arguments made by Japan's permanent representative to the UN. Additionally, the letter also elaborated the position of the Chinese government. The document will also be circulated to all UN member states as an official file of the General Assembly. And a campaign to vaccinate thousands of children in East Congo continued Monday. Now, this comes as local health authorities battled a measles outbreak that has left thousands of children sick. Local healthcare workers were supported by MSF teams who had been, in fact, called in to support them. Now, the outbreak took off over recent months amid an ongoing conflict that is now one of the world's largest displaced person crises. The rebels' advance has killed some 3,000 people this year itself and has worsened what already is one of the world's largest humanitarian crises. Listen in.
Le défi d'abord du point de vue estimation de la population. Parce que du point de vue la campagne de la vaccination, la population cible que nous avons estimée, nous sommes maintenant à plus de ça. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il y a un mouvement de la population.
Starbucks has agreed to pay more than $35 million to thousands of workers in New York to settle the city's claims. Now, what were these claims? That the company denied them stable schedules and also slashed their hours. City officials said over 15,000 hourly workers are set to receive $50 each for each week they worked between July 2021 and July 2024. The settlement comes after the coffee chain received pressure nationwide to improve working conditions for its workers. The head of Britain's fiscal watchdog, Richard Hugh, resigned on Monday after the agency last week inadvertently released key details of the government's annual tax and spending budget. Now, viewers, the leak took place before Finance Minister Rachel Reeves announced them in Parliament itself. Richard Hughes, meanwhile, said in his resignation letter that he took full responsibility for the issues. Now, these issues identifies in the OBR's investigation into the mistake, called it the worst failure in the organization's 15-year history. King Willem Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands have traveled to the former Dutch colony of Suriname for a 3-day state visit. The visit marked the South American country's 50 years of independence. The duo was welcomed to the presidential palace on Monday in the capital by the country's president since 2024, Jennifer Gerlings-Simons. Now, in a speech to the National Assembly, the king emphasized the historical significance of his state visit, and he also called for open dialogue between Suriname and Netherlands about their shared past. Here's King Willem for you.
In dat opzicht is de 50 jaar jonge Republiek Suriname een inspirerend voorbeeld. Dit staatsbezoek geeft ons de kans om ons oor te luisteren te leggen. Bij u en bij vele andere Surinamers met de meest uiteenlopende achtergronden, bezigheden en leeftijden. Zo kunnen we onze kennis verdiepen en onze blik verbreden. Wij zijn naar uw land gekomen met één verlangen. En dat is de relatie met u te intensiveren als gelijkwaardige partners.
Residents of the Caribbean island of St. Lucia voted on Monday in a general election, which pits incumbent Prime Minister Philippe J. Pierre against his predecessor Alain Chastanet. Voters will also decide on 17 seats in the country's House of Assembly. Members of the Caribbean community were seen in Castries observing the election. This as voters cast their ballots. The leader of the Conservative United Workers' Party, Chastanet, blames the incumbent Labour Party for a deterioration in security on the island. The results, meanwhile, are expected later on Monday. We get you more.
It's a privilege to be able to say, you know, I did this. I put a government in power, or I did not want a government. I put a government out. So it's all right, and I think it's a good privilege for us to have.
Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te on Tuesday inspected drone operations and combat training conducted by reservists during a visit to a military unit in Yilan. Now, the drill is underscoring the growing role of unmanned systems in Taiwan's defense strategy. Lai reiterated Taiwan's commitment to maintaining peace while also preparing for potential threats. According to the Ministry of National Defense, the rapid expansion of drone technologies has prompted the armed forces to intensify training and develop new combat applications as well. Here's more.
但是后勤部队是国家整体防卫力量的基石。如果我们能够有效组织可视的后备部队，将让我们国军战力进一步的提升。
A group of families trying to cross into Peru from Chile scuffled with police on Monday. Now this as they tried to evade immigration controls. They reached the Santa Rosa migration checkpoint in Peruvian territory, hundreds of meters from the desert border where they have been camping for the past few days now. The migrants are mainly Venezuelans, Colombians and Haitians. Last Friday, Peru declared an emergency on its own border. Car accidents have caused an 85-mile-long traffic jam on the Trans-Siberian highway near Lake Baikal due to snowy conditions. Drivers got stuck for hours and truckers for days together on the road connecting Siberia and Russia's Far East, with some running out of food, water and even fuel. Meanwhile, the temperature dropped down to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Police sent additional patrols to direct traffic, while local authorities sanded the most dangerous road sections. Controversy rose during the weekend over the nativity scene that went on display on Friday in Brussels. Now, it does not show the faces of the characters, featuring a ball of cloth instead placed next to the giant Christmas tree at the Brussels Grand Place. The nativity scene represents baby Jesus in a crib. Now, the script viewers is surrounded by Mary, Joseph and the three wise men. But instead of a mouth, nose and eyes representing the faces, artist Victoria Maria Geyer decided to place a ball of fabric, making them faceless. The artistic choice has been severely denounced on social media. We get you some reactions.
Ici, une artiste, un atelier de couturière, il y a des emplois derrière ce projet-là aussi. Et je pense surtout à eux à l'heure actuelle, parce que c'est sûr que ça doit être assez difficile de lire tous les commentaires qu'on voit sur les réseaux sociaux quand on a mis tout son cœur et parfois même, en l'occurrence aussi, toute sa foi dans la réalisation d'un tel projet.
Well, it's time to submit to a short break. Viewers, much more lined up on the other side. Don't you go anywhere.
Introducing the new Harry's Plus. Advanced physics for more pivoting, progressive blade geometry for improved comfort, premium metal handle for a sleek finish, 5 German-engineered blades for our most comfortable shave yet. Made ergonomically, priced economically. Harry's Plus, the shave you've been waiting for. Get 30% off and free delivery on your starter set now at harrys.com.
تني سجلة وعلى جعلة تنهدى فيه وحمصني واقفني أنا أخواتي بيموتوا من الجوع ما نصير تغذية كمان بيغوا بالليل بيبقوا من الجوع يعني ما بنحسن يعني نعمل لنا أكل أيام كتل ولم فلا من قهر فين مليون جنيه فين مليون يا شغل.
For Khaltoon, Tariq and Basira, seeing their siblings suffer from malnutrition is heartbreaking. They are among millions of children caught in a worsening hunger crisis. Across the world, families are struggling to find food because of conflict, displacement, and extreme weather. Your £5 a month can help us provide life-saving food and medical care to help families with lasting solutions to beat hunger. No child should go hungry, so please donate today. Please search Save the Children or visit savethechildren.org.uk to give £5 a month. Thank you.
say goodbye. We help you own it.
Deborah, stop horsing around. Let's play Zebra Bingo. With branded bingo rooms like Fluffy Favourites Bingo, Deal or No Deal Bingo, and Clover Rollover Bingo. And more classic bingo games than you could shake your tail at. There's over £6.5 million in bingo prizes to be won every month on the Bingo Network. Come on, let's play Zebra Bingo.
We should have left centuries ago.
It's okay. I'm with the AA.
Because the AA has more expert patrols in more places than anyone else, you'll be back on the road in no time. That's why millions of drivers choose the AA. Join today.
Welcome back, viewers. The finals of this year's National Virtual Sports Tournament were held in Beijing between Friday and Sunday, featuring virtual cycling, virtual rowing, virtual racing, and even simulated soccer competitions. The event aimed to stimulate sports